Wait, what? Oh, okay, that's better. So a topic that I think we need to dive deeper into in order to like build a better understanding around the Middle East and the life there, going off of some of the stereotypes that Jordan said. Like the stereotypes obviously are like a big part of like what we see about the Middle East. So I think a common stereotype is that like a lot of people in the Middle East, A, are Islamic, and B, Islam is related to terrorism. Like there's a direct correlation there that a lot of people think. So the term Islamic terrorism is like used to describe the actions of people who are very loosely linked to the religion and that are basically just at war for the Western world because it's secular and it's, quote, decadent. And it's really problematic and offensive because even though some Islamic texts have like historically permitted use of some violence to spread the faith, there's been like super big restrictions on it, especially when it's used against like civilians, particularly children. And like a term that the Prophet Muhammad used, and he's like the main prophet in Islam, was jihad, which basically means holy war. And a lot of people are interpreting it to mean like a physical fight for Islam to be the dominant religion when it really sort of means the internal battle for a person to like be a good Muslim and be a good person in the world in general. So I feel like we should definitely dive into some of the things in the text like that people might claim hint at terrorism but really don't. And I feel like learning about this subject and like the perception of how we see it versus how they see it will help us understand the Middle East better by breaking down those adverse feelings that we have towards those people and their religious culture due to the thought that it encourages violence and murder, and also like learning the reasons why people do turn to terrorism rather than assuming, oh, it's just their religion. For example, the Middle East was actually formerly a society where people got a lot of what they owned and a lot of who they were from their family groups and stayed very tight knit to their family groups. And now the individualism is like a bigger thing there. So people going off and forming their own groups, getting their own jobs, moving away from their families, etc. It's leaving a lot of people displaced. So an article I read, The Rise of Individualism is Upending the Middle East, by John Alterman, says, quote, alienated young people will continue to drift into jihadi or holy war movements and other extremist groups, which essentially replace that natural family with a more ideological, appealing one, which shows how people are like getting left behind by the changing society and how that's an issue that we don't see, but that they see, and we just see that as them wanting to have violence. Thank you.